Obviously, we're here to protect the community, and we have a lot of overarching priorities, the same as all of our law enforcement partners, including NYPD and the mayor's office. We're here, we want to assist, we want to help. The problem is due to city policies and state law, the cooperation is no longer afforded between NYPD, the law enforcement partners, and ICE. So, unfortunately, a lot of the way that we have to do our intelligence in ICE is the same way that you find out about cases. It's through the media. So we're no longer contacted, we're no longer called, and we have to check our databases. But obviously there's hundreds of people a week that are being arrested throughout the city. And if we can't determine which one is being, the most violent, we have to find out, unfortunately, through the media.
Mothers of River City, heed that warning before it's too late. Watch for the telltale signs of corruption.
In a previous video, we've discussed the situations going on with the migrants issue here, the illegal migrants that are flooding into New York. Yeah, they are illegal. They have violated the law. People don't realize this. They said, well, these people are suffering. I can understand, that some of them are suffering. But hear me out. Hear me out from someone who went through the 1980s Mariana boat lift from a New York point of view. If you're not familiar with Mariana, look it up. It is basically the influx of Cubans and Haitians into South Florida back in the 1980s. What did that cause? All you got to do is pick up today's newspaper today in New York, and everything that's going on in New York is the same thing that was going on back then. Crime is up. The minority communities are being hurt by this situation because basically all the money that New York normally uses for their programs, from SNAP to housing and all that, is being funneled into these illegal migrants. The crime that has risen beyond this, and then of course, what we had was 2 police officers beaten by several illegal migrants, which caused the NYPD to literally just go on a warpath. They just literally opened up the dogs of war here in New York. And we're seeing more and more. And the thing about it is, not only illegal migrants, we've seen regular residents that have attacked police have also been arrested. We're seeing pickpocket teams down in the East and West Village. We've seen situations where a woman was dragged. She was dragged on a scooter while they were trying to rip off her purse, and she was slammed into a pole. This is what has been going on. One of the major problems that we have is ICE is unable to work in the city of New York. And that is one major thing. Recently, there was a press conference with representatives on both sides of the aisle, from Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens. I don't know if the Bronx was there as well. But the outer boroughs have had it with this situation. led up by Nicole Malliotakis. Here's a little bit of it.
In our city. Obviously, last week's attack on our NYPD officers by illegal immigrants was very troubling for the entire community. I mean, here's a situation where the taxpayers are being forced to pay to house, feed, provide education, healthcare, legal services, laundry services for individuals because of the mayor's interpretation of right to shelter. And then to add insult to injury, we see many of these individuals committing crime in our city. Now, last week's attack was only one of about 1,000 different incidents that we've seen in the city, but it got a lot of scrutiny and media attention because it was an attack on police officers. And this is completely unacceptable, but sadly it's not the first one that we've seen. There were a couple of other police officers who have been attacked by migrants in our city, including a woman who slapped a police officer in the face, and then following a DUI bust, an individual who bit the finger of a sergeant.
I am a Democrat, but I don't want to. No, I'm not apologizing for it. I am a Democrat, but I don't agree with the sanctuary city policies. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. When you have police officers attacked, you have citizens attacked on a regular basis. Do we need more criminals? We have to import them and then protect them.
Right.
That's ridiculous. It needs to stop. So the Common Sense Caucus, which I co-chair and co-founded with Joe Borelli, there's 3 Democrats, and we're all committed to overturning some of these laws that are protecting criminals.
And the thing about it is, ICE wants back in. Here's the situation. We can get rid of this problem and the thing is, ICE has these detainers waiting. Well over 1,000 detainers, because there are those. I mean, the guys who, remember, and this is Alvin Bragg that did this, DA Alvin Bragg. He released these guys and he said, well, we don't have enough evidence. Are you freaking kidding me? These guys were arrested in Times Square. How many more camera shots do you need of it? There are, I mean, as far as surveillance, Times Square is one of the heaviest surveilled areas in New York. You got plenty of evidence. You let these guys go, and what happened? Most of them skipped town. That's right, they skipped town. They were on their way back to Mexico. But now what we're hearing is from the politicians here, and I would say on both sides of the aisle, that have been, now together working to try to bring back ICE into New York City to handle all this. But let's read a little bit into this from New York Post. ICE blames NYC refusing to cooperate with feds for releasing of cop-beating migrants. Left-leaning New York laws that ban cooperation with federal immigration officials are partly to blame for ICE being powerless to stop the migrants accusing of jumping 2 NYPD cops from skipping town. There's been another 2 that were attacked also recently. Officers griped Monday. Kenneth Gianalo, the director of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Big Apple field office, ripped the sanctuary policy that prevents the city from adhering to detainers, a system that calls for the feds to be notified by local law enforcement when non-citizens are arrested on criminal charges. We want to help. The problem is due to city politics. State law cooperation is no longer afforded between the NYPD and ICE, Gianalo said at a press conference along the bipartisan group of local politicians. There are hundreds of people a week that are being arrested throughout the city, and we can't determine which are the most violent. Gianalo spoke out as lawmakers led by U.S. Representative Nicole Malliotakis urged Mayor Eric Adams and the City Council to reverse the current laws and policies so migrants accused of crimes can be easily deported. Their appeal comes off the back of 6 migrants being charged over the beatdown of 2 NYPD officers near Times Square on January 27. 5 of them were slapped with assault and obstruction governmental administration charges last week and released without bail. At least 4 of them of allegedly then hightailing it out of New York. Gianello said that the current laws that limit NYPD cooperation with the feds, including adhering to the detainer, meant that he and other immigration officials only found out about the recent ordeal through media reports. Unfortunately, a lot of the way that we have to do our intelligence at ICE is the same way that you find out about cases. It's through the media. We're no longer called by the NYPD, the ICE official said. Then Mayor Bill de Blasio signed a bill into law in 2014 that barred NYPD from working with federal immigration officials when they are seeking to boot dangerous migrants from the U.S. Another gift left to us by Mayor Bill de Blasio. You know, there have been several little nightmares he's left behind, including that bill that he wanted illegal migrants to be able to vote, which is a court has already found it to be unconstitutional, and they're still trying to fight that to bring that. The New York City Council is trying to make that into law. I don't think that's going to go any further. If it does, it's going to cause a lot of issues in New York, more issues into New York. Then in 2018, he took a step further by issuing a statewide guidance and new NYPD protocols to codify the Big Apple's policy of not cooperating with the feds' immigration enforcement activities. We used to have a unit that sat in Rikers Island working hand in hand with the NYPD. The prior administration at the time kicked out the unit out of Rikers Island, so we no longer have a presence there, Gianello said. Basically, anyone that was foreign-born was vetted by my staff, the immigration officers, to determine whether or not they were amenable to removal proceedings. If they were, we took custody of them and we placed them in removal proceedings. With cops not having to honor the detainer systems due to local laws, coupled with the Big Apple's bail reform legislation, Gianello said immigration officials often have to waste time hunting down arrested asylum seekers to weigh in if they should be booted out. Once they're back in the community, we have to go looking for them, he said of the migrants released without bail in the Times Square cop beatdown. Instead of being able to take custody of these individuals in the confines of a jail or confines of a precinct, we now have to go out to the community and the streets where, unfortunately, the criminals have the upper hand, he said. Malliotakis, too, ripped the city for not honoring ICE detainer requests. This past fiscal year, ICE has issued 109 detainer requests for individuals who are dangerous that committed crimes in our city, and zero have been honored by the city of New York. The previous fiscal year, 22, 157 detainers requests, and again, 0 were honored by the city of New York, the Congresswoman said. And the number of detainers requests that have gone down significantly under the Biden administration at the end of the Trump administration in the fiscal year 21 were 1,485 detainer requests, and again, 0 honored by the city of New York. Governor Kathy Hochul has called again on the alleged cop beating migrants to be rounded up and deported. Yes, if you want that, Governor Hochul, then remove the sanctuary city, get the ICE back in there. Meanwhile, Eric Adams insisted on Monday his hands were tied under the current legislation. Bullshit. We can get this done. We can change it. We have both sides of the aisle wanting this to be done. I cannot use city resources based on the existing law. It is a question that should be presented to the council how they want to move forward on this issue. Hisno said at an unrelated press conference, the bill was passed by the city council. I know my role and I share with the office my views and my power and use my power to either veto or whatever actions are to support these bills. But the city council bill that was passed, the city council needs to be deposed. They need to be removed on here. They need, to be evicted out of there because they're not protecting the city. These are activists. We have activists in our city, in New York City Council. And this is what they're doing. They are harming the actual citizens of the United States, especially New Yorkers. And they're causing a problem with the tourists as well, because tourists will be attacked as well to this situation. We have pickpocketers, we have, violent felons on the streets. And I said this before, this is the same elements that happened in the 1980s in South Florida and in New York. It did affect New York City back in the 1980s, especially a place called Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Apache, the Bronx. Under siege now from a new camp. Cubans, career criminals from Castro's Cuba, who stop at nothing.
It's a macho thing that you have the guts to shoot somebody in cold blood.
If it means that the police are in the way and they have to shoot them, they'll shoot the police. If they are innocent bystanders, they're whoever they are, whether they're children, older persons, it means nothing to them.
They'll smack the women around. Their primary purpose when they go in is
to intimidate everyone that's in that place.
Instill fear in you.
These detectives of New York's 48th Precinct are assigned to a special crime task force created solely to combat crimes committed by Cuban refugees, boat people. 1,000 Cuban refugees have been arrested in New York since the beginning of the year, most in the Bronx. Police are convinced these men and a handful of women are the criminal element admitted into the U.S. when Castro emptied his prisons.
If you're not familiar with that was the South Bronx area, which was literally, it looked like something out of Beirut. There's a movie with Paul Newman called Fort Apache in the Bronx, obviously, and it kind of gives light to what a New York precinct would look like back in the day in a neighborhood that just literally was a neighborhood that was trashed. South Bronx today is a much different look. It has been repaired, fixed, and upgraded to the nature, but with situations on there, could it end up back the way it was is a possibility. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this. I mean, this has been going on for quite some time. And it's not only New York. You got Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, going through the same thing. We have people here. You got to understand, they've emptied out their jails across the board. We're seeing more Chinese migrants, illegal migrants now, more African migrants out there. People say, well, it's the Spanish people that, no, it's not the Mexicans anymore like it used to be. Yeah, there are some. But if you look at the Roosevelt Hotel, look at the places on the people that are being unloaded. Most of them are men. Understand this, most of them are men. My idea is the situation is that these men, illegal migrants, should be packed up and deported back to the countries of origin. Now, as far as the families goes, we need to verify that these are actual families and not basically someone who has trafficked these children, these women into this country. One way to do it is to do a DNA test to make sure they are related. So tell me in the comments what your thoughts about this. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our other videos here on Man with the Show on Cuticast TV. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.